Hello and welcome to On the Right Track, Career Stories, a video series and podcast about real people, their real careers and real lives. I'm Jane Christophe, your host, and today we have Dr. Skye Naslenas with us. She's an orthodontist, business owner, and a staff member at the Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto. Let's listen to her interesting story and advice.
First of all, thank you for having me here. And I am happy to share my story, especially if it's in the context of giving direction and perhaps some clarity to the children, to the teens who are at maybe the crossroads of choosing a career path.
Okay, so Skye, you are a business person, a service professional, and a science professional. So how did you figure out that you liked the sciences?
So yes, one of my strongest subjects in high school were math and sciences. So those were the subjects that came easily and naturally to me. So if you don't have to fight Mother Nature, it kind of paves a smoother path for you. So something in the health and along the health and science road was a natural choice of going into a healthcare profession because I wanted to work with people. So internally, that's another characteristic. I am a social person. I like people. So I wanted to combine people skills with science skills, science and math skills. And so I knew I was going to end up in a healthcare field from just based on those likes and predilections that I felt I had. Now, I was, the other half of me was a little bit artistically inclined. So that's kind of difficult to reconcile. And I speak to a lot of teens in my practice and they're sort of like, well, I like everything. Okay, I like everything too, but you kind of have to pick a path, pick something that, reconcile it in your head, what it is that you like to do, but also realistically, what is it that perhaps potentially in the future will also put bread on your table? So, I told my parents, I spoke with my parents. My dad is a head and neck cancer surgeon. And I said, Dad, I really like arts and, I like poetry and maybe I want to be a fashion designer because I like clothes, typical girl things. And my dad said to me, you can do that as a hobby, but like really, get a job, put some bread on the table. So now I was in a unique situation where opportunities and career paths presented to me in the sense that I was on a track to enter medical school. I applied, I was accepted, and my end goal was to become a plastic surgeon. So here is a profession that requires maths and science, hard skills, in order to get in and be accepted and to go through it successfully. But the subspecialty of plastic surgery would have been my artistic outlet. Because to be a plastic surgeon, there is an eye to it. There's an eye to operations, to how you suture the skin, whether it's facial enhancement, whether it's bodily enhancement, whether it's cancer surgery for breast removal, breast augmentation that follows. So there's an artistic edge to it. So this is where I was headed in my university years. Living in Canada, and finding out a little bit more about how health profession operates and medical challenges within the hospital-based environment and how much of it is government regulated, I realized that my personality would not do well. I would like to be my own boss. I would not be happy, I realized quickly, under the direction of so many rules and restrictions that come with working in the hospital. So for me to be in that environment full time, I realized that it would satisfy my professional career goals, but it wouldn't. It would be a personal challenge in terms of I would be pushing my personality out of my comfort zone. So the autonomy that dentistry, the alternative of dentistry provided to me was quite appealing. So I applied to dentistry, got accepted into dentistry, and the subspecialty of dentistry that I feel combines science with art is orthodontics. In orthodontics, you get to design a smile, you get to align the teeth, you get to perform facial surgery based on where the teeth align. So there is a lot of visual feedback that and input that you can incorporate into how you practice. Orthodontics, or at least the way I practice orthodontics and how I teach my students now at SickKids, is you're not treating just a set of teeth. The set of teeth are in the context of a face. So if you push the teeth forward, it supports the lips, hence enhancing the lip structure within the context of the face. All of a sudden, the patient who thought they had no lips have a nice facial balance just by enhancing their lip line. Somebody who felt like their nose was too big in the context of their face. Well, if you push their lower jaw forward, surgically in most cases, all of a sudden that balances out what people thought they had a large nose. So to be able to impact people's lives in a positive way by perhaps enhancing the way they look or bringing out their potential with conservative means and a direction that reconciles aesthetics with function is really how I came to this career choice and how I've enjoyed every day of it. And I consider myself very lucky to have identified what it is that drives me personally, professionally, and being able to encompass that in my career.
Well, I'm just so happy to hear how much you love your work. When I'm working with my students, we really try to explore, what are your personal values? What are your values towards work? What matters to you? What motivates you? What are you interested in? It sounds that your values really are met by the work that you do, and you found a way to take your hard skills, your soft skills, your right brain, your left, and combine it all into what seems like a very interesting job or career, and every day must be so different from the last one. Tell us a little bit more about your high school years. What were you doing as a high school student in terms of your activities and specific courses that really motivated you?
So my story may be a deviation from the norm in the sense that I immigrated to Canada at age of 14. So my high school years were preoccupied with actually learning English almost by default. Perhaps because my social sciences, languages and social sciences were lagging behind because of my impediment in and the facility of the English language, I threw myself into maths and sciences until the time that my English came up to a level of standard, and I really tried hard to surpass my classmates in the sense that, again, personally, I'm driven. I like being above average. I like when people look up to me and ask me questions, and I like being in a position where I can help them. So if I am going to be in a position where I can help my classmates, currently my students and my patients, I need to have more skills, more knowledge. And so it was an internal motivator for me to position myself that way. So my high school years were preoccupied, like I said, mostly by learning English. And then once I started speaking to my guidance counselors and saying, hey, listen, I've gotten this high school bit, but now looking ahead for the next few years, how do I position myself to be successful in a university setting, and perhaps in acquiring a profession in the health field? So the direction that I got, Sky, don't forget, this is your high school. You should have some fun. So, join a volleyball team, right? Join the fashion show, get involved with some of the social activities. It's not all about, and it shouldn't be all about hard work. It should be a balance of fun as well as something that you're contributing towards your career path. So that was some nice insight. So I joined a volleyball team. I joined a basketball team. I got involved with the fashion shows that we put on a yearly basis. And I started doing a little bit of volunteering in the hospital setting. I started getting summer jobs that would enhance my resume. So if I don't have a predilection as to where I want to work in the summer, so perhaps I can pick something that will look good on my resume as well. So for many years, I worked with Parks and Recreation. Being a camp counselor with children, again, furthering my people skills, indulging in that, but also helping those and sharing my skills with those who were in a more disadvantaged position. So it was a mostly a volunteer job. Having said that, I enjoyed it, and it was looked upon quite favorably upon my applications to higher education positions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So you mentioned that your dad was in the health profession, a
Yes.
doctor. Tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about how he influenced you or any other major influential people in your life.
So, my dad was a great sounding board when I was finalizing my career path decisions. And like I mentioned, after completing a 4-year university honors Bachelor of Science degree, I applied to both medicine and dentistry. The acceptance to medical school arrived first. And I said to my father, I said, you know what, I'm not in a hurry to accept that. I will wait to see what dentistry has said. And when the time came and I was in a position to choose between medicine and dentistry, I said to my dad, I said, you know what, I'm really leaning towards declining medical school. So my mother says, well, people live and die to be accepted into medicine. And here you are saying that you're going to decline medicine. Mm-hmm. So there was a moment there where societal stigmas attached to the status of being called a doctor had to be shattered somewhat by me saying, I really want to follow my heart, because in dentistry, I can be autonomous. I don't have to work within the context of the rules of a hospital. I like fashion. I can wear my own clothes to work. I don't have to be in scrubs or white lab coats. I enjoy being with kids. I enjoy being with adults. I enjoy designing faces. And this gives me an opportunity. I also enjoy my lifestyle. I want to be able to spend time with my friends, with my family, and I don't have to work the hours that the hospital dictates. I can set up my own hours. So all of those lifestyle factors outweighed the status of, I am now in medical school. And so my dad was actually, who has gone through medical school and residency and training himself, he said, Sky, if you are working 24/7 around the clock being a doctor, then that leaves you very little time to be with your family and friends if that's what's important to you. Yep. So he was the one that actually helped me dissociate and calm down my mother, saying, listen, she'll be okay. Yes. She will be okay as a whole, as a woman, as a human being, and still have a comfortable living that orthodontics will provide for her.
Okay, I love hearing your decision-making process. And by the way, these two options are pretty amazing that you had. What does a typical day look like for you then, in terms of your lifestyle and balancing work with your family and your friends and things that you like to do?
So I'm in a very unique, I feel like I'm in a very unique position, having chosen this career field and career path, in the sense that I'm able to have my own premises in the location that I like. So I chose where to set up my office. I am able to choose my work hours. I'm able to choose the team and the coworkers that work with me on a daily basis. Now, because I am a lifestyle person and I do enjoy my free time and I do enjoy my friends and family, I always put myself in the shoes of how I would like my life to look like. And I really try to offer the same um, comforts to the team members that I choose to bring on with me, because we all fly together. We're all either successful or not together. So um, having a little bit of a hospital-based residence experience as I was doing my training, I watched what makes people happy in their workplace. And to begin with, what makes people miserable in their workplace mostly is Mondays. They hate coming to work on Mondays. So people call in sick on Mondays. People make up every excuse if they're there. They're not productive. They kind of sluggish after the Sunday. So I'm like, you know what? In my office, nobody will work Mondays. We don't have to work Mondays. The second thing was that everybody likes a long weekend. Nobody, come Friday, people are already think that it's Saturday. So nobody works on Fridays. So I'm like, you know what? In my office, we're only going to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So the inefficient days that in my observation were Mondays and Fridays, I said to my girls, my staff, my team members, I said, you know what? We don't have to work Mondays and Fridays. But the days that we work double time, because there's no reason why you cannot make your work week 3 days. Who says that it has to be 5 days? So everybody gets paid 5-day salary on a 3-day work week. And I feel that it makes us more efficient and effective. We provide patient care with smiles on our faces because we actually need to work a few days, and we pick the best days of the week to work. Every weekend is a long weekend. Everybody has time. We're all women in the office. Everybody has time to spend with their friends and family, do their groceries.
Okay.
And do that.
You're also at the hospital though. Your Mondays and Fridays are not off. Is that correct?
Correct. So this is the environment that I've created for my office staff. And they're quite happy to subscribe to the same philosophy now. So I'm happy that my team is happy. That's important to me, because when I show up on a Tuesday morning in our office, I want them to be happy, ready. And if people are happy, they work better because they actually want to be there. For myself, Mondays have become administrative days in my office. This is where I answer referring doctors' phone calls. This is where I write my letters. This is where I take time to take my children to school and volunteer to be a parent support on their school trips. So it gives me the satisfaction of doing those things. Fridays have become a day that I spend at Sick Kids as an associate staff. I was very honored to be invited as the youngest member to join their team of plastic surgeons and orthodontists who deal with craniofacial children born with cleft lip and palates, born with quite severe facial differences. And so this opportunity of working in a hospital environment truly satisfies my initial desire to be a doctor and work in a hospital setting, helping people with facial surgeries, because that's where I was headed. So when I align the teeth in a certain way, and I call in our plastic surgeon members to say, okay, the teeth are ready for you to move the jaw forward or sideways or backwards, and this is how it will impact their facial appearance. This is how it will impact their ability to chew and process their nutrition. This is how the patient will thrive. Really satisfies that initial need to be in that environment. So I've gotten really the best of both worlds of running my own private practice under my own rules and practicing the way I want to practice, yet a small portion of my time is spent in the hospital environment under the rules and regulations of the hospital. Having said that, it's by far outweighed with the satisfaction that I get from seeing dramatic results come to life.
It's just amazing how you've combined various passions in your life into this great story, this great life. I want to know a little bit more about the business side of
Yes.
running practices, private practices in Toronto. So you're a science professional, you're a service professional, you're a teaching professional. You're also a businesswoman, entrepreneur who's scaling. So where do you get those skills?
Going through school, you are learning the hard skills of what's required to practice your profession. So I am quite proficient. We all are graduating from orthodontic school at straightening teeth and putting in wires and putting on braces and all of that. Now that it became very obvious very quickly that to practice the way I wanted to practice under my own rules and be autonomous, I would also need to organize and set up this environment where somehow it would generate some sort of an income for myself, for my staff, and at the same time produce a result that patients would be happy with. So those business skills, unfortunately, I don't think are taught in the school environment as much as they need to be taught. And so many of us who graduate will actually go in and work for someone else as associates and learn how to actually run a practice or run a business. Again, maybe because I was worldly and talking to a lot of people, and this is where the advantage of people skills come in. If you talk to a lot of people, you gain a lot of knowledge just by being able to tune in to their conversations. So I quickly recognized that the business skills and the business aspects of running a successful practice are actually being glazed over in the school environment. So as a student in orthodontics, as a resident, I attended many conferences that focused on practice management and what it is to be a solo practitioner. So I acquired a little bit of my business acumen through again, conferences that I chose to attend, that I chose to go to.
Many of your classmates doing the same? You said many were associates learning that way, but were
yes.
you the anomaly?
So I was the anomaly. I was not an anomaly just in my class, but probably in our school. I was the only female in our group of residents, and I was the only one that opened up a practice fresh from school. Everyone else, took a safe route, and it's not better or worse. It's actually probably a safer route to go, where they joined a practice, they associated for a while before they broke off and opened up their own practice. Now, I didn't find an associateship that I wanted to be a part of, and almost by default had to be brave enough to take on a location. So very interesting scenario when you're signing on a lease of premises with no income, and you have to write a proposal to the bank as to why they should lend you this money to be able to construct an office, to be able to support your staff, to be able to do some marketing to attract your patients in an environment that's already saturated with every type of specialist that you have. And on top of that, during that time, I also found out that I was pregnant with my first child. So there were a lot of things coming at us at once. And again, this is where we differentiate ourselves as women. And you quickly realize that being pregnant, building an office, starting a practice, and somehow you can still come out of it and smile is truly a gift. And we should be very proud to be given the strength, the inner strength by Mother Nature to do it all, because it allows us to tap into all the fruits that life offers to us.
Well, you're very inspiring. Okay, so tell me a little bit about, okay, what I'm getting from your story is that you knew right away science, math, that was your thing. You wanted to go into be a health professional, meds or dentistry. You also wanted to be a business person with autonomy. What about students who don't have a clue what they want to do? They just have no idea. Math, science, arts, humanities, they have no clue. What could you say to them? Because all along you've had direction.
So I think we all know at a quite a young age what it is that makes us happy. We may not know what we're going to do with it in a professional sense, but we all know what makes us happy. So, if I look at my children, my son will roll his eyes at having to write a book report. So I know the social sciences, languages and social sciences is not a great skill for him. He's very happy drawing. He's very happy constructing Lego. So he's more of a tactile visual learner. And, so we all know what it is that we like. We don't have to make a career path. And a lot of high school students, and I give them the same spiel when they're sitting in my chair and we're deciding on colors of braces. If you don't know what to do, don't force it. You graduate high school, you take a general degree in university, and something will declare itself, because university is not a career path. University is an institution, or at least I feel, university is an institution that teaches you to think, or this is what you should be getting out of your university experience. So courses that you take in university, about astrology, about psychology, about math, may not be directly applicable to your future career path, but indirectly what they're doing to you, they are making you process the information that's coming to you critically, critically assess the knowledge that you're gaining in whatever subject matter that is, especially in the broader sense of the word, of the word, that you don't know what it is that you like. And as you're learning to fine-tune your thinking and deductive skills, a career path will declare itself. Don't push it.
Okay, great advice. Now, what would you say the top skills that kids need for the real world in the 21st century? What do you think a couple of those would be?
Adaptability. Adaptability to the constantly changing world of today. I'll give you a perfect example. If you talk to psychologists, psychiatrists as to what stresses the young generation most, is inability to adjust to new friends, new environments. There is a lot of anxiety that's associated with it because of various social pressures that they feel. They feel pressure to have lots of friends. They feel pressure to do well in school. They feel pressure to, please their parents. So they've set themselves on certain paths that almost guaranteed to them that they will be successful in accomplishing these things. And if those paths for whatever reason deviate from what they're used to, they feel lost. So adaptability to the constantly changing world of today is one of the key characteristics I feel that bodes well for a successful existence.
Now, Sky, what would you tell your younger self?
It's a hard question. I think our years of high school and university are quite fleeting. And while we're there, while you're in the moment, you feel that the moment will never end and life will always be this way. And as much as we feel like we don't have time. We want to do this and we want to try that, and I don't have time. We don't realize that life will only get busier. You will not have time when you finish university. You will not have time when you finish your professional school. You have time right now. So
Mhm.
whatever it is that you want to pursue or try, now is the time.
Great advice.
So don't be so focused about what you're going to be doing in 5 years. Focus on what makes you fulfilled in the moment, and it will come. The career path will come, but these years never will. So do what it is that drives you and that fulfills your soul, because that will be fueling your inner energy to pursue career goals.
Wonderful. Okay, one last question to wrap it up. If you weren't doing what you're doing today, what would you be doing?
As an alternate career path,
Yes.
I think I would be in teaching. That was always a little bit of a cassette that was playing in the back of my head, where I think I would be almost like an alternative school.
Yeah.
Just based on my own life experience and based on how I arrived at my final destination, was a slightly alternate path from what is being taught in schools and curriculums right now. So I think I would have an alternative school and be one of the teachers there.
You'd be awesome. There, I bet there'd be a real long waiting list at your school for sure. Okay, well, this has been a really wonderful conversation. I appreciate you sharing your stories, your insights, all of your experiences. And wow, what an incredible life you have, and you're contributing very much to our society.
Have a great day.
Thanks, Dr. Sky. Thank you so much for joining us. If you liked the video, give us a like, and even better, subscribe. For more information, check out the links below. You'll get lots of scoop about other social media platforms, more information about our interview guests, and the services available from Right Track Education. Have a great day and best wishes to everyone.